You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. I'm your host, Alexander Joyce, and with me today is Angie Paisley. She is our Medicare Director and the manager of our processing team here at ReJoyce Financial. And we are talking on the topic of Medicare. You know, we talked about Plan A. Is it Plan A, right? Coverage A, B. C, we discussed as being the advantage plan, if you will. And we want to dive into Part D, right? Isn't that confusing? I am not a Medicare person, right? I love the numbers. And so that is exactly why you are here, so you can walk us through all the numbers, right? And so maybe start by just some context, if you will, a little bit of background, not history, if you will, but what exactly is Part D?
Part D is a very important part of Medicare. That is your prescription drug coverage. That's the one when you hear about credible coverage and lifetime penalties, Part D is what they're talking about. So you can go one of two ways with Medicare. You get your A and B, which is your original Medicare, or you get your Part C, which is your Medicare Advantage. Typically, if you have Medicare Advantage, that D is included. It doesn't have to be, but it typically is. And
when we say D, we are specifically talking about the drug subscription.
That is correct.
Your prescription drug plan attached to your Medicare.
So we've talked about before how A and B, original Medicare, don't cover everything, and that there's gaps out there. Part D is not specifically considered a Medigap policy because you've got to have it. You have to have prescription drug coverage. So what you're going to be required to have is your A, your B, and at a minimum, your D. Often there can be no monthly cost for that. Sometimes there is a monthly cost, but you've got a higher deductible. That's just something we'll look at an individual quote for you, what's best. But if you don't have Part D coverage, you can get lifetime penalties for that.
Lifetime.
So, lifetime. And that's for the months that you did not have coverage, but those penalties will last the rest of your life.
Wow.
So just a real quick story. I had a client come in recently. She was in her 70s and had already been on Medicare. She had dropped her prescription drug coverage because she found out that GoodRx, her GoodRx card that you can get free at Walgreens, covered her specific drug better. She said, I'm not going to pay for this. I don't need it. Well, she got, just last year, got prescribed something else that GoodRx didn't cover so well. Came in to see me for the first review in 3 or 4 years. And we talked about it, and I got her signed up for a D because it covered her prescription really well. Sure. Well, when she got her first bill, it wasn't what I quoted her. And we were able to find out it was because she had a lifetime penalty for those 3 years that she didn't have coverage. So that was her fee times 36 every month.
And it's scary. You know, I think that a lot of the stuff we don't think about Medicare planning as a part of the financial plan, but in fact it is, right? I mean, a lot of this stuff like Social Security, when you take Social Security at 62, right, you give up 25% for how long? Forever, right? And we talk about giving up a prescription plan like Part D attached to your supplement, and if you vary away, if you will, come back to it, you're penalized for forever, you know, and it's difficult stuff, you know, and the average person, Angie, probably doesn't know this information.
And I think what the scary part is the misinformation.
Right.
Medicare or Social Security. My dad just recently enrolled. His mailing address is my house. Every day, stacks like this. Some of them appear to be legit Medicare mailings, but a lot of them aren't. And they just put that logo on there, so you really don't know. The TVs, the football stars. And if you don't have someone that you can call and ask, you may just believe what you see on the TV, and then you get yourself in a situation that you're penalized for the rest of your life. So it's really important to talk to someone who's licensed, who knows what they're doing, and who is independent.
You know, Google is a resource.
It is.
Right? It isn't a recommendation.
Correct.
It doesn't know you.
Correct.
Right? We think it may, right? It may serve you certain things, but it doesn't know your situation. It gives a list as a reference in things that you can reference. It doesn't give you advice.
That's right.
And so we really, the strength is with us, is you got to talk to a real person.
That's right.
You're going to have to talk to us.
It's very important.
I mean, it is critical to understand what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, and then dial in the whole plan to put it together. Avoid these penalties, avoid these fees, avoid these taxes, avoid all that stuff.
Right.
Just take the leap of faith and call us. Yeah. All right. So I appreciate your time, Angie. It's been a pleasure. Stay tuned, folks. There's more show to come.